Oh, I honor the land of the native people on which we stand. I honor the native people. "60 years ago today, Rachel Carson published Silent Spring. It kicked off the modern environmental movement. We may now be facing a silent spring as the bees, the pollinators of much of agriculture, are dying. And indeed, this particular spring, the bees that would have been pollinating the apple and other fruit and nut trees in New England were out in California pollinating the almond crop at the point at which the trees bloomed in New England. Now, native bees like this blue bee may take over, and this is an ecosystem service that we're not paying for. But the native pollinators are dying as well. Nature creates conditions conducive to life. Here's what we do. These are the synthetic compounds now found in mother's milk. And for those of you who are fans of breastfeeding, all other forms of milk, aldehydes, ketones, phenols, furfural. People, what are we doing to ourselves? It's worth answering that question. Nature runs a very rigorous testing laboratory in which products that don't work get recalled by the manufacturer. This is a cautionary tale for a young species like ours. So on this day after Earth Day, we asked nature, how are we doing? We're not doing well. The Smithsonian Institution, Dr. Tom Lovejoy, and a whole range of scientists from around the world, 2010, released Global Biodiversity Outlook 3. We're losing every major ecosystem on the planet. 3 of them are tipping into collapse. Coral reefs. Sorry, scuba divers, by the end of this century, business as usual, there will be no living coral reefs on planet Earth. The Amazon, this is a mite more serious. This is the Earth's lungs. And the oceans are acidifying. Now, why do we care about the oceans here in Colorado? Well, because acid oceans dissolve the shells of the little calciferous critters like phytoplankton that produce most of the oxygen on Earth. This has happened before to the Earth, and about 95% of species on the Earth went extinct. Now, the Earth has amazingly restorative capacities. As George Carlin said, save the Earth, don't worry about the Earth, it'll be fine. It's save the people. Last year, study out from the International Energy Agency. This year, study from the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, the Western nations, said that unless the world leaders act immediately to slow greenhouse gas emissions, to slow global warming, or global weirding as it may be called. A friend just wrote me today and said it's about to snow in Washington, D.C. It will become impossible to stop runaway climate change. We will lock in a 6-degree warming of the Earth. And again, that's probably not survivable. It's already happening. This is Dadaab, the refugee camp in the Horn of Africa, where tens, hundreds of thousands of people who are fleeing their inability to get water, the destruction of their crops and their livestock, have come to live at the largesse of the United Nations and those of us taxpayers who are supporting the United Nations. And right now, today, in the Sahel, it's happening again because of climate change. Millions of climate refugees. We know what it is here. It's fires. It is the threat to homes in the urban-wildlife interface. It's storms. This last year has been the worst year for destructive storms ever in the history of the United States. $14 billion weather-related disasters. A record. March was record hot year. Last year was record hot year. And our leaders are not acting. So what do we do? My friend Bill Becker, who ran the Presidential Climate Action Project on which I was honored to serve, said if we insist on ruining the planet, we're going to have to stop claiming we're a superior species. Yeah, the science is uncertain. That's what science is. We argue about it. On climate change, here's the science I like. And it doesn't matter. In a sense, the science is bar talk. I say that with all respect for the great climate scientists who are spending their lives trying to make their models catch up with observed reality. But let's assume the skeptics are right. Now, frankly, don't go to Vegas on the odds of that being true. But if all you are is a profit-maximizing capitalist, you'll do exactly what you would do if you were scared to death about climate change, because we know how to solve this one at a profit. If it turns out it's a hoax, we'll make a lot of money. If it turns out it's real, we'll make a lot of money. Either way, let's go. And this is the thesis of my latest book. It's called The Way Out. It just hit bookstores. And I commend it to you because it's 9 chapters of the good news. It's what companies and communities and entrepreneurs are doing to solve this problem at a crisis. For example, we work with the company Diversey that has found for every dollar they invest in climate protection, they get $2 back, 163% return on investment, a little better than you're going to get in the stock market. We walked into a company, had 6,300 computers and monitors they left on 24/7 because of some urban myths. Shortens the life of the computer to turn it off and on. No. IT needs it left on 24/7. No. In that company, just publishing a policy, turn the darn thing off if you're not sitting in front of it, would save them $700,000 in the first year. This is free money. Nationally, it's $2.8 billion, large part of the cost of running a big office building. Ford Motor Company figured it out, published a policy, saved themselves $1 million. You can do it at home. You can do it in a small business. Well, it's beer money. We walked into a company, 7 million square foot warehouse, big distribution center. Floor to ceiling boxes, 500-watt light bulbs shining down on the tops of boxes. The guys below had task lighting so they could see where they were going. We said, do y'all have a switch? I mean, this is called inventory afraid of the dark. $650,000. It shouldn't surprise us that our European and Asian competitors who, have signed the Kyoto Protocol to protect the climate, use half the energy to produce a unit of economic value as we do. This is a competitiveness issue. It's also something we can do something about. This recession, jobs. In Sonoma County, they put in place a little program called PACE financing, Property Assessed Clean Energy. We did it in Boulder, too. The county puts together a little pool of money, you come get it, implement energy efficiency, renewable energy on your house, your small business. In the first 9 months of the program, in the teeth of the recession, 2009, construction jobs went up 8.4% in Sonoma County. In neighboring Napa that did not have the program, they went down 3%, as they did for the Bay Area as a whole. Do we want jobs? We know how to get them. Oh, and then those paragons of financial rectitude, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, both of which are bankrupt, squashed PACE financing. There is now a House bill to ban Fannie and Freddie from interfering with PACE, and there is a proceeding winding its way through the federal government to reinstate PACE. So if you want something to do, write your representative and ask for the restoration of PACE financing. It's a very good way to create jobs. Here's another, and you have the opportunity right here in Fort Collins. Why is it that California has 70% more sunlight than cold, cloudy Germany, but Germany last year installed 28 times the amount of solar energy that California did? It's called feed-in tariffs, or in this country, clean contracts. Germany just passed a law. Anybody who produces green electricity gets paid a fair rate for it. Germany will be 100% renewably powered by 2050. Jobs. Over 360,000 new jobs created in Germany. Germany will have solar at grid parity, costing the same as electricity from the grid next year. Oh, but you say if you pay more for clean energy, it comes out of our pockets. Well, yes, that's true. An average of €2 to €3 a month, 50 bucks a year. Deutsche Bank did a study of this. Had the Germans done, given what the Germans did, they paid €8.6 billion more. It's a lot of money. Had they done nothing, had they just run coal plants, they would have paid €9.4 billion more. You're going to pay more. You'll pay less more if you have the feed-in tariff. And Fort Collins is on the verge of putting in place a feed-in tariff. Let's do it! Sorry, you won't be the first. Gainesville, Florida did it a couple of years ago, and they will have solar at grid parity by next year as well. But you can certainly catch up. Dardesheim, Germany, 100% renewably powered. Lovins.mp4, Germany is earning itself $5 million a year by generating renewable electricity and selling the excess. San Francisco will be 100% renewably powered by 2020. They've already met the Kyoto Agreement. This is happening worldwide. It's time that Colorado caught up with the leadership of our prior governor, whom you had the pleasure of hearing earlier today. Bill Ritter said, let's unleash the clean economy. And it is because of Bill Ritter that Colorado did not suffer as badly in the recent downturn as many other states did. Thank you, Bill Ritter. Now we have a governor that apparently likes natural gas. In Boulder, outspent 10 to 1, the people voted to municipalize. Now, here in Fort Collins, you already have a municipal utility. Smart. In Boulder, we were at the mercy of Xcel Energy, which is overly fond of coal, but the people voted to put in place a municipal utility so that we can go solar as well. Why does it matter? Per megawatt saved in a community, you will generate over $2 million in increased economic activity, $500,000 in increased wages, and 10 times the number of jobs you get if you invest in any kind of central station. Forget polar bears. This is about our economy. Here in Fort Collins, New Belgium is leading the way with renewable energy, with green buildings, with a commitment to action. Yeah, go New Belgium. Go bicycles. We're working with New Belgium on a pioneering effort to try to figure out what the value of a commitment to sustainability is worth on their books. Because none of the value of sustainability is counted now in our current accounting system. And New Belgium was the first company in the world to be willing to try to figure this one out. So when you're thinking about which beer to buy, CSU has a green campus program. It is happening here in the Fort. It's happening in Colorado. These are things that are worth doing, worth celebrating. Fort Zed! Thank you, Fort Collins, a zero energy district here in downtown. And yeah, it's moving a little glacially. They're kind of figuring out what to do. But it's the right idea. Here's what you can do. Every one of us buys things every day. Do you know from whom you're buying? Ask, is that a company that has made a commitment to sustainability? Is that a company that's locally based? Buy from here in Colorado. Buy from companies like New Belgium. And take it to your organization, where you work. I mean, we heard a nice talk about maybe you ought to quit where you work. Maybe not. Transform your workplace. Who says you have to do what you don't like to do? Engaged organizations have almost 4 times the growth in earnings per share of organizations that don't have an engaged workforce. And we have a workforce right now that is not engaged. The reason this is a problem is it's losing us productivity in the country. What engages a workforce. Young people in particular want to feel that they're engaged, that their managers care about them, and they want to work for a company that's environmentally responsible. Fortune, the companies that can authentically talk about their commitment to sustainability are going to attract the best of the young talent. Again, this is a business case argument. Here's my hero, Paul Pullman, CEO of Unilever, who last fall said to Wall Street, I am not going to report quarterly on the financial performance of my company. He said, it's a casino. You guys on Wall Street don't care if stock goes up, stock goes down. You make money both ways. And this is not adding value to my company. I am not going to play this game. I am going to commit to sustainability and to growing the value of my company by paying attention to what it is my customers want. And if I do it well, I will add value for the shareholders. Here's their commitment. Cut their environmental impact in half. Source sustainably, particularly anything coming from agriculture, and lift 1 billion people out of poverty. This is the CEO of a major international company. Pretty cool guy, huh? When those wild-eyed environmentalists at Goldman Sachs tell you that the companies that are the leaders in environment, social, and good governance policy have 25% higher stock value than their less sustainable competitors, there's a business case here. And there are now 27 separate studies saying exactly the same thing. Harvard has even caught on. Sustainability is not the burden on the bottom line, it is the touchstone for all of innovation. And in the future, only companies that have sustainability as a goal will achieve competitive advantage. We are at a tipping point with the corporates. It matters who's in Washington. Please vote. It really matters, particularly this time around. Please vote. It matters in the congressional races, it matters in the Senate races, it matters in the state of Colorado races. Please vote. But I think that who's really going to drive this are citizens demanding of companies that they have this commitment to sustainability, and then leading CEOs like Paul Pullman, who's putting it into place. We have all the technologies that we need to solve every problem facing humankind. Change is hard. Margaret Mead said the only person who likes change is a wet baby. And I would argue the baby squalls all the way through the process. But consider the caterpillar. When this little critter enters the chrysalis, it has no earthly idea what's fixing to happen to it. You ever broken one of these things apart? There's no worm in there, there's no butterfly in there, it's just goo. And if our world feels a bit gooey now, it may be because we are undergoing the most profound transformation ever in the history of humankind. But if we stay with it, if we stay committed, something starts to emerge. Yeah, it's fragile at first. We know how to bring prosperity, to bring security, to bring a higher quality of life to all people on earth. As Bucky Fuller said, a world that works for 100% of humanity. Does this sound to you like a goal worth achieving? Then let's fly. Thank you all very much.